welcome to this edition of the SAU Report. I'm Mistie Holley.
And I'm Charles Bostick. Today our guest is President of Southern Arkansas University, Dr. David Rankin. Dr. Rankin, thank you for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
Now, the North Central Association accrediting process has just ended. How did that go?
It really went great. I'll tell you, we can't give all of the details of the recommendations, but the recommendation from the visitation team that came was very favorable, and so they are recommending continuing accreditation for Southern Arkansas University. I must point out, though, this is the recommendation of the team. It then will go to the North Central Board, then it will be acted on the first of the year, and if they provide a favorable recommendation, then it'll be set, and we'll be fully accredited for another lengthy period.
Sounds like good news.
Well, I know, like reading in the braid, now this is from a student viewpoint, I may be wrong, I kind of understood that they will give you different things, different recommendations on how to make the college maybe improve on different things. Did they have anything like that to say, or?
They did have some recommendations. I think we'll wait until we get the full report back from the team, because basically they just gave us an oral presentation of those things. I will tell you, though, they cited a number of strengths of the university, so I think everyone at the university can be very pleased and very gratified at the very favorable recommendation.
Right.
I certainly was very pleased.
Well, I bet. Let's talk a little bit about how you became president. What are some of the qualifications you feel make a good university president?
Well, I think one of the things is being able to understand a broad picture, because I came from the field of business administration as a former dean of business, and I think then you really have to broaden your scope when you move on to university president.
Right.
I will say this, though, I think many of the things that deans do translate well into the office of president, because you're involved with student affairs, you're involved with staff matters, you're involved with faculty matters, you're involved with fundraising, involved with curriculum, a good deal of external relations. So many of those translate well into the president's office. But certainly I think you have to have a broad scope of looking at a university and be able to really be pretty flexible in a lot of situations.
Well, we were reading earlier in the Bray that your staff and your office have done wonderful things to change the university, and like landscaping and things like that y'all have taken that extra step. Is that something? I mean, I'm sure it's something you're very proud of, and is it something y'all will continue to try and update some more, or?
Misty, absolutely, because one of the things that's very important to students coming onto a university campus is how it looks.
Right.
And I believe that the university looks good now, but I think it can look even better, and we're working very hard with landscaping. As you may have known, we have trimmed some trees, we've removed some trees, some of them that were really damaged badly in the ice storm, or some that may have blocked the view of a building or something of that nature. So we're really working hard on that, and I think you can begin to see it around the campus. There's more grass there with the Greek Theater.
It's wonderful.
It's really starting to look nice, and of course that's a Depression baby. That was built back during the Depression by the Works Project Administration. If you go look at that little marker there. But now it's going to have grass. We have an irrigation system down there, a sprinkler system.
Well, I know that at one point it got to the point where nobody used it for hardly anything.
That's right.
And now it's coming back into play, homecoming and things like that.
Exactly. I think you're going to see a lot of different events down there, because there's going to be a lot more grass. It's going to be so much more attractive.
Well, now when you're talking about cutting down trees and things like that, is there going to be any parking added into those empty tree spaces?
Good point.
Absolutely. You know, Misty, you not only have to have parking for our students, which I think we just barely have. I mean, if every student parked just exactly where they were supposed to during the hectic parts of the day, we might just barely have parking. And if they're parking on the grass down from the Armory or over across from Overstreet. But what happens when you have a meeting on this campus? You bring 200 or 300 people onto the campus.
Right.
There's no parking.
That's very true.
And so what we're going to do, we're now working on plans for a parking lot that will be close to 450 spots.
Wow.
Right across from where the old Armory site was, which is the site of the new rental center.
Right.
That's going to add a tremendous amount. We're starting on that immediately. You may have noticed that we're starting to demolish some of the buildings across some of the old faculty houses across from the old Armory. And as soon as that is done, we're going to start on that parking lot.
Good.
That ought to, I think that will solve our parking problem.
Yeah, because we kind of, when we hear of a meeting coming, it's like, ooh, you got to get there a little early.
Right. Particularly if we wanted to block off a parking lot for the the people who are coming in.
Right.
Well, what
Well,
happens to the students? You know,
That's very true.
And it's like the cartoon you may have seen in the break where the student had the binoculars and was
Right.
looking through them to try to find the campus from the parking
Yeah.
spot. So I think we do have a parking problem because we do not have a way for people who come onto the campus to find a spot during the busy days, busy
Right.
times of the day.
Now, can you take us through the interview process by which you became SAU president?
Well, of course, there's quite a selection process as the selection committee began to narrow down the resumes and so forth. Where I got involved certainly was when they started doing the preliminary interviews to narrow it down to a moderate-sized group, and then to interview people, and they interviewed everyone off campus. And from there, then they narrowed it down to the finalist. And on the finalist, you had really a full day on the campus. You were visiting with the faculty, visiting with students, visiting with the various administrators and faculty groups on campus, department chairs. That was a great day. I really thoroughly enjoyed that. And that's where the final decision is made. Also, you visit with the Board of Trustees. And so you start with a large group, bring it down with the selection process to an interview group, and then bring it down to your finalist. And then they make the decision, make recommendations.
Well, being here for so long, that was something, you kind of had an advantage there. You knew a lot of people here. And I noticed that your staff and you, now that you're in office, have done, just like I said before, wonderful things. And I noticed that you're trying to get SAU involved in a lot of extra things that they weren't before, joining in with different schools and universities and things like that.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us something about that? Exactly?
Well, for one thing, something I had started earlier, back when I was dean, was the partnership MBA with the University of Arkansas Little Rock,
Right.
where we pool our resources and we offer an MBA in this part of the world where it wasn't available before. Certainly when you start thinking about ways that you can promote the university, the billboards are one thing. I don't know if you've seen in Texarkana, we have a billboard on I-30 there in Texarkana. It says,
I noticed the new
Southern
one.
Arkansas University, a tradition of success.
Right.
Well, what we're trying to do is get our name available in that market. We get quite a few students from East Texas and also from Texarkana, Arkansas area, Miller County. So we want our name to be out there for people to think about us when they consider a university. We have a billboard here in town that's promoted some of our athletic programs. We're probably going to put some more billboards up. We have been advertising in more magazines that reach college, high school juniors and seniors.
Right.
So we're really talking about expanding and promoting our image and polishing it a little bit.
Good.
Let's talk a little about fundraising. Can you tell us a little about Art Horn and the SAU Foundation?
I sure can. Art Horn was director of the Magnolia Hospital Foundation, and he basically took that foundation from its inception up to where it really became an important factor for the Magnolia Hospital. So he already had the understanding of how a foundation works and understood fundraising. He was trained, and of course he had a great interest in the university, so it was just a natural for us to hire him and bring him out here. And of course I gave him a charge as soon as he got here, let's have a capital campaign. We're talking about a very large one that is really connected to the rental center effort to raise those funds. And so he's very good. We work very carefully together. I made a lot of trips with him to raise money. We've had a fabulous time. We've asked a lot of people for a lot of money.
Right.
And I think it's going to be very, very successful.
Now you keep speaking of the rental center. What will actually be in the rental center?
Well, the rental center is going to be 70,000 square feet. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful building. It will have, first of all, it'll have a great banquet hall. It will be able to seat 500 people for a banquet. At the same time, we're feeding students in the food service area because right now we have that problem. We only have one area, so you either have a banquet or you feed students. And it creates a little bit of a mismatch and some inconvenience. But we can have 500 people in the banquet hall at the same time as we were feeding 500 students in the food service area.
Wow.
We're also going to have a theater that'll hold, a lecture hall that'll hold 200 students. We're going to have a bookstore twice the size we have now. We're going to have an excellent food service area for the cafeteria. We're going to have also many of the student affairs offices will be housed there. We'll have 16 university functions. And one of the exciting things, we'll have 11 nonprofit organizations on the campus. Those organizations are community organizations that will actually be housed on our campus. And the effort is to try to bring the community, campus, town gown, bring the campus and the community together. And so when you walk in that building, there'll be SAU people in there, there'll be people from the community, It's going to be fabulous.
Wow.
Well, what are they going to do with the old Bruce Center?
That's a good question. We will not tear that down. We'll probably try to gain the money to remodel that. Could well become
really?
an academic building. In the meantime, we may use it as is. So just as soon as we move the Bruce Center and that one is vacated, we might try to use that space for campus functions.
Right. Okay, there's another big fundraising, I guess, project going on, Legacy Lane.
Legacy Lane.
How did this idea come to pass?
Well, it started with the old armory. That armory was built in 1926. Some of our alumni played basketball there. Some were inducted into the military there. Some served in the National Guard there. So there was a kind of a heart tug.
To get rid of.
But we knew it had to come down.
Right.
So we were thinking, we'll save those brick. But then the idea the Alumni Association came up with was, let's start Legacy Lane, because we were also talking about a senior walk.
Oh, really?
In other words, it's been one of my goals to see every senior who graduates from this institution have a brick on a walkway on our campus with their name on it. So we thought, well, if we do that for the new graduates, why don't we start a Legacy Lane? And so the Alumni Association really developed that concept, and for $125, most of which is contribution, obviously, to the SAU Foundation, you can put your name, the year of your graduation, your degree on there, and put it in the lane.
Now you're talking about the seniors. That has been a big deal here lately. Reading when it finally came out that it was true that there was a new $50
$50 fee, increase in the fee.
Right. What exactly is your concept of the whole idea? Because I know there's a lot of people who are for it and a lot who are against it.
I think when you think about the way some other campuses have had their seniors put in the walk permanently, and of course they started out, if you look over in front of the art building, there are some names in there already. And I think when you think about a beautiful new brick with the name, the degree, the year that you graduate, that you can bring your kids back and show them and come back and look up friends in the walk, I think it's going to, long term, it's going to be a great thing. We feel like that the graduation fee is just a one-time fee. So you only pay that one time when you graduate. Also, there'd be no late fees. We want, if you had to reapply for some reason, you didn't complete a course, you had to reapply, we're not going to charge you again for that. Really? Also, it covers all the cost of graduation. We also plan to hold that fee pretty constant for a good while. So we're not exactly sure how much it's going to cost to put those bricks down. We're going to be talking to students. We may actually go out there and take a jackhammer and knock some of those sidewalks up and start that brick walk, because it's going to be beautiful. It really is.
Okay, let's talk about the new Welcome Center a little bit. Why did you take the President's Home and create the Welcome Center?
Two reasons. Number one, the President's Home was built a long time ago, back in the 50s, so it was not in real good shape. Also, it was built back at a time when the university was a fraction of its current size, so entertaining out there on any large scale was difficult. Secondly, since they hired me, we had a home, and it's large enough to provide entertainment, plenty of parking, and close to town. It's 2 miles from town, so we've had a number of functions out at our home. So the idea was, let's utilize that space. We're short of space. We really need some new facilities here in certain areas. And so let's use that space for a way. It functions, there are three different functions. Number one, a welcome center. Parents come to the campus, bring their children to look at the university. They have plenty of places to park normally. They walk in, they can watch a video. We have a screen that comes down from the wall, and they watch a video on the university, get a Coke, cup of coffee. President's ambassador meets them after that, takes them to the campus for the tour. Secondly, it serves as alumni headquarters, because the alumni office over there, Seal Bridges, the director of alumni, is there. So it's a place for alumni to come in, sit down. If they want to come to the campus, they can just come right there and sit down on the couch, have a Coke, a cup of coffee. And then the development office is located there. It's also a good place to entertain people. Say if you have a group of people that come in, you want to make a presentation on the university. You can take them in there in the social area, sit down. You can also have, like the North Central team came, they ate with us there in the banquet area.
Well, I know that has to make it easier, because I haven't been here long, but when I did come to SAU, you had to hunt around campus just to find out exactly where to go before you could find anybody to give you a tour of the campus. So I think it was a really good idea to have something there that you know exactly where to start.
And it takes a while. Anytime you do something different, it takes a while. People are saying, where are the welcome centers? That's why we have the big lighted sign out on the bypass. That's
Right.
why when you come in from US 82, you see Welcome Center,
Right.
and you turn, you see another one, you go down, you see another
Right.
one. So I think once people get used to it,
They'll know.
they'll know, and they'll plan to come in that area. Also, it'll be kind of a center during homecoming. It rained so bad this year we didn't
Oh,
get to do it,
yeah,
but
sure did.
it'll be kind of a center for homecoming.
Well, good.
Can you take us through some of your day-to-day activities that you do every day?
Well, every day is different, and that's one thing I love about it. You never know what's going to happen. Like North Central team was here. That's a totally different experience where you're
Right.
entertaining people for a 3-day period of time. Then next week I'll be going to Presidents and Chancellors Committee meeting up in Little Rock, where all the presidents and chancellors of the various four-year institutions get together and they talk about policy and they talk about what they're going to do in the legislature. I work a lot in Golden Triangle Economic Development Council because the university, I think, is kind of an engine of educational and economic development. So I work with that very carefully. Have people in the office all the time, students, faculty, staff, alumni that come in that want to visit. I sign a lot of papers. I do have to put my signature on a lot of things, and we have an awful lot of meetings to coordinate. Yesterday afternoon, met with the faculty senate for 2 hours. So it's never a dull moment, I'll tell you.
Well, that's a good thing.
It really
Well, that's
is.
what the job is for.
That's what it's for. It's never a dull moment.
Good.
Now, how did you foresee your leadership changing SAU for the better?
Well, I think this university is, number one, it's a great university. We use the slogan sort of tradition of success. It's really true. I mean, you have Ronald LeMay is the president and chief operating officer of U.S. Sprint. We have in the past have had times when the top 2 officers at Tyson's were from SAU.
Right.
Past, we had the chief information officer of AT&T was from Southern Arkansas University. We've had all of these people who've had tremendous success. And many people who may not have had such a high-profile job, but they had tremendous success also.
Right.
And so I feel like what we have to do here is build on that and move to the future. And one of the things we have to do is improve our physical plant here. That's why the Reynolds Foundation, the Reynolds generosity is so important. The new residence hall is so important. That's why the new science center that we're trying to get the state to finance is so important.
Right.
And that's why some other steps, like a new Center for Agriculture Studies here.
Right.
So to me, that's important. Another thing is to try to improve our appropriations from the state. That takes interaction with the governor's office, with the legislature and so forth. That's exciting, and I'm looking forward to that. Another is to be sure we're all singing off the same song sheet, as our professors tell us,
Right.
so that every member of the faculty, staff, and student body knows where we're going. That's why we developed the master plan, so that, Mistie, if someone would ask you, what are we getting ready to do? Well, we're getting ready to build a Reynolds Center, and then we're building a new residence hall, and then we want to build a science center.
Right.
That way everybody's informed.
Everybody's informed, and we all know where we're going.
Right.
Something else, just one final thing, is getting input. You need to have people give you input and good ideas, and particularly from your case, students. I ask students a lot, presidents, ambassadors, Student Government Association, and others. Well, what do you think about this?
Right.
What's your view of it? So that's very important.
Well, something else is I know that you're trying to get SAU involved in a lot of other things. Take the Miss SAU pageant. I was involved this last year, and I was kind of disappointed that we weren't in the Miss Arkansas, Miss America program anymore, because that is an absolutely wonderful system, and I know you've been involved with that for several years with your daughter. And so did you have a big pull in getting it back into the Miss Arkansas system?
Well, I certainly gave my support to it. I said I would like to encourage it because I think that the Miss Arkansas pageant is really a big production, and I would love to see Southern Arkansas University be a player in that league. And I think that we can. It offers scholarships, but it offers even more than that, personal development. You know, you get up on front of a stage in front of 5,000 people and answer questions and go through that interview process, which is very rigorous. That really builds confidence on the part of young ladies, and I'm very supportive of that. So I certainly hope that it will be successful, and maybe we'll get a Miss Arkansas from SAU.
Well, it's a wonderful representation as well.
That's right, exactly.
SAU was one of the only colleges that didn't enter this last year. So it was kind of surprising we
Well,
didn't have someone
Maybe
there.
we can change that this year. I certainly hope so.
Get someone in there.
Right. Now, do you ever sit in your office and look at a map of the university and picture how things might look in the next generation?
Absolutely, absolutely. We were doing some dreaming the other day, and it's really more than a dream about having an arena here on the campus. Maybe seating 3,100, 4,000 students or individuals, where you could have trade shows, you could have lectures, you could have concerts, you could have basketball games. We really need a facility like that, and I think it's possible, and you can kind of visualize it out here on the hill where the dairy farm is now.
Right.
And those kinds of things get you excited.
I bet.
You know, I drive by over where the old armory is, and I think, you know, what's that rental center going to look like when it's built?
Right.
You know, $14 million project.
Well, you've been here for quite some time. So, I mean, have the things that you visioned back then come true, or are they still in the makings?
Well, I think my vision, certainly when I was dean of the business school, was focused primarily on that. But I think a lot of these ideas were also sort of developing in my mind too.
Right.
Ways to strengthen the image of the university to make us more widely known. Things where we might expand our market, like the negotiations we've had with Forest Echo's Vocational Technical Institute in Crossett.
Right.
I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I know that we certainly have made a serious effort to ask them to join our system.
Well, that's the good thing, that it's actually, there's been some process in trying, not
Exactly.
not just letting it sit.
Just letting it go by and
Right.
letting another institution just
Take it up.
Take it up without us being involved.
Now, sort of a wave of the future, I guess even current day, are internet courses. Is SAU going to offer internet courses in the future, as does SAU Tech?
We offer internet courses now. I think the ones I'm most familiar with were the ones in business: legal environment of business, organization theory, behavior, and principles of marketing.
Right.
We also have offered and do offer a lot of compressed video courses. Of course, that's interactive two-way.
Right.
In fact, we had discussions this morning about ways we could improve our internet offerings. Certainly the traditional college campus is so important. I mean, that's really important. But internet classes are important for people, number one, who might not be able to come to the campus and get that particular class at a certain time, or maybe even eventually for complete degrees. So SAU Tech has certainly been a leader. Our sister institution up in Camden has certainly been a leader in that area, but we're going to be doing more and more, particularly in junior and senior classes, and also graduate classes.
Right. Speaking of graduate classes, are there any plans for maybe adding some graduate programs other than the ones we already have?
Absolutely. One of our objectives, what we've had is graduate studies in education.
Right.
And we've had the partnership MBA program.
Right.
What we want to do is create a graduate school. Graduate school then would have graduate programs in each of the 4 schools.
Right.
And I think there's a real need for that in this part of the world. So the Board of Trustees has already passed a resolution authorizing the creation of a graduate school. We'll probably see if we can't do that by July 1st of 2003.
Is that for the name change? We read in the paper that they have changed it from the School of Business to the College of Business.
Yeah.
Is that's where that ties in?
The graduate school will still be the School of Graduate Studies.
Right.
But the College of Business, College of Education, College of Science and Technology, College for Liberal and Performing Arts, what we think is that's kind of the direction things are going. UCA, Arkansas State University, University of Arkansas, University of Arkansas Little Rock.
Right.
We feel like that's what our organizations ought to be too.
Okay.
Now, many students want to see a daycare center adopted here at SAU. Could you see this in the future?
That's a tough one. Meeting all of the rules and regulations at the state level is difficult. There's some liability issues there that are involved. So that's a difficult one. I really can't say, you know, that we have any immediate plans to do anything like
Right.
that, and mainly because there's so many rules and regulations that you have to meet that even some of those people who do this, you know, that's their mission is daycare, struggle with those issues.
Right.
Well, something else is, one of the first things people say when they come to a university is, what is there to do in the town? Magnolia is not a small town, but it's not very large, and you have to go out of town to, you know, to have activities to do on the weekends and things like that. Do you see anything coming into Magnolia?
Well, I think what we need to do is grow the university and the community. We have some big construction projects coming. I think the rental center is going to help us grow the university. I think a new residence hall will help us grow. I think the science center will help grow. And what you find is as the university grows and as the community grows, you attract more of these types of things. And it makes probably a broader opportunity for entertainment in the region. That's really the key to it. We've got to get the numbers up a little bit.
Right. Well, so in other words, you feel that the city of Magnolia is going to have to be more involved too, along with SAU, to build this project, right?
Well, you're talking about the rental center, or
Well,
just
everything in general.
I think so. I think the university, as the university grows and as the community grows, I think we're just natural in outgrowth of that. It's more entertainment too. It's like the planned construction of new Walmart Supercenter.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's additional economic activity for the region.
Right.
The rental center is going to generate economic activity. If we could bring in an arena, you automatically bring in an entertainment component because you can have concerts and attract big name entertainers that we cannot attract now because we just don't have the facility.
Right.
And so automatically entertainment quotient goes up quite a bit.
Right. Now, in 1997, when former SAU president Dr. Stephen Gamble was interviewed on this very program, he described this job as very exhausting because there is so much to do. How would you describe the job as president?
Well, I guess from my point of view, I'd call it exciting and rewarding. I have really enjoyed, I get up in the morning and I look forward to coming to work, and no day is the same. It's a tremendous opportunity, and I consider it an honor to have an opportunity to be president of this university,
Right.
And a trust that I want to be sure that I handle properly.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today. This has been a wonderful interview, and a lot of questions have been answered. Thank you for watching this edition of the SAU Report. I'm Misty Holley.
And I'm Charles Bostick.